Hello. Today we are going to talk about the word if. Now, if is a very powerful word, more powerful than you might think. And we all know that words have the ability to shape your mind. And in shaping your mind, they can shape what actions you tend to take. So let's take a look at the word if and see what we can discover. I'm going to start out with a video from Scott Adams. It's a short one, but I think it starts to broach the point that I want to discuss today. It's just talking about a campaign video. I don't even remember which one. It's from years ago. Random campaign video. All right. So why is what if brilliant? What makes it so brilliant? Well, it's about reacting versus having active imagination. So you could even hear in that video, he's saying, here's what's going to happen, right? That's the other side of if. You could say, here's how it's going to happen. And then immediately people respond with, no, this is why it can't happen. X, Y, Z, that's why that can't happen. But if you say, what if? What if this could happen? Then people start to think of how to problem solve and how to get that active imagination going and determine a solution. So, on that same line of thinking, I want to look at a poem by Rudyard Kipling, very famous poem, and it is called If. And it's called If for a reason. So let's take a good close look at it. Yeah, perfect. So I'll read this one out. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can deal with triumph and disaster, if you can be with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken. Sorry. Some technical difficulties. Watch things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you, except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. This is a very famous poem. Rudyard Kipling, he wrote The Jungle Book. He wrote a lot of things that are for boys, essentially, for boys who are becoming men and on that journey. And think of how easily this poem could have just taken away the word if. It could have just been, you can keep your head when all are about you. If you can keep your head, and when all are about you are losing theirs and they blame it on you, you can still trust yourself when all men doubt you. Now, it doesn't flow as nice, right? But the idea is by using the word if, you start to generate that active imagination because it's not, hey, you can do this. It's like, if you can do this. And then the person you're speaking to or yourself, right, if you're on the receiving end of this, starts to go, yeah, if I could, how could I? How could I? And then you start to work that active imagination. And this goes back to another point by Scott Adams, one of his micro lessons on practice. What really happens when you're practicing? Is it that you're iterating over and over again? You know, you do 10,000 failures and one success, and then your brain biases towards the success? Or is it more likely that by practicing, you're actively imagining yourself succeeding, and then that active imagination helps you find the winning path and helps you actually succeed in real life, right? It goes back to the idea of affirmations, and really the whole Scott Adams corpus is about how can we think differently to change the world for ourselves. So that's the crux of the idea, that by just using the word if instead of saying you can, they can, she can, no, if you can, and sort of how would you do it? Like, it's a leading question, but it's a leading question that has these positive psychological results. And I want to go to one other piece, and that is by Thomas Carlyle. And this is in On Heroes and Hero Worship, where he's talking about the different religions people might have, and how they come about those religions. And, you know, sort of living out your religion is how Carlyle views what your actual faith is. But on that track to get to how people live out their religion, he goes through this, the highlighted part up here. The thoughts they had were the parents of the actions they did. Their feelings were the parents of their thoughts. It was the unseen and spiritual in them that determined the outward and actual. Their religion, as I say, was the greatest fact about them. So here, their thoughts were the parents of their actions. So action comes from a thought, is the idea here. Whether that's the reality or not is up for debate. But if we're thinking of the word if we're thinking about active imagination leading to better results, maybe it's the imagination is the parent of the action, and that the imagination is the unseen and spiritual in you that helps you manifest the results you're looking for in reality. So, too long, didn't watch. Just inject the word if as much as you can and see how that changes things.